have to admit that my garden is a disaster, and I like it that way, actually. All of this is radishes, baby radishes, lettuce. I planted these things deliberately, and I'm just letting them go to seed every year. Here we have a stand of reseeded cilantro. It's reseeding itself. More lettuce. And I do harvest this stuff. Got sunflowers and more radishes. I actually planted some other things in here, but they didn't come up. And actually, I'm not sure on that one. It looks like, I may be wrong, but it looks like I may have some spinach back there, which I thought had died out completely. I've got onions, I've got garlic. These tall ones are garlic here, and those covers are just sitting around in case I need to cover the tomatoes again because of a late frost. So, more lettuce. And I've actually had more in previous years, but this is our drought-tolerant collard. I talked about that last year, and it is blooming. These are actually our second and third generation plants. The first generation was really ragged and filled in this space. I realized there were seedlings in here, so last year I pulled it out. So these are our second and third generation collards. I don't particularly appreciate collards, but they fill in the space, in a sense. And it's drought tolerant. This has never been watered. It comes up in the spring, survives through the summer, survives through the winter, and tries again in the spring. So lots and lots of seeds from this. Corn is starting. And again, I really don't pay much attention to weeds, but look at these. You know what those are? Those are horehound. And I'm going to take some of those and transplant them to another area of the yard where they can actually thrive. I've got some irises, but I need to pull those out. I got a present, a box last year from a friend, and it just had a whole bunch of stuff in it that she had pulled out of her garden, her yard, and it included some irises, and I forgot to move them. So there they are this spring. Got the trees back in the back, and actually only two of those are trees right now, the one on the end by the composter and the one on the end, but I put in the posts, and I'll be wrapping wire around those, all of these trees. The two on the end will remain apples, the 5 in the middle will be nectarines, and they'll be espaliered against the fence. Back here, I don't know if you can see it, right there next to that white post, those are an Egyptian walking onion. And I guess I'll go back in the other direction. Got more lettuce here. Nothing's planted in this area yet. I have, these are zucchini in those holes, but they haven't come up yet. I'm expecting them to come up in the next few days. So there's baby apple tree number 1, and I'm going to get you out of zoom. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was still zoomed in. Watermelon. This is a Joseph Lofthouse landrace watermelon. This one's a Joseph Lofthouse landrace winter squash. And my primary purpose with these this year is to get more seeds so that I can try again. Under this there is a sweet potato that has been thriving out here since mid-April. Another Joseph Lofthouse landrace watermelon. Another sweet potato. Another Joseph Lofthouse landrace winter squash. This one is a black beady zucchini. That is the last of my seeds for this. And I don't necessarily want it included in the landrace, but I know that people like this variety, so I'm going to get seeds from it this year. So I'm keeping it in a protected location so that I can make sure I get seeds. This is the second apple tree, and that's garlic around the base. Another squash, this one is a yellow squash. I decided to get seeds from that as well, even though it's not a variety that we use. It's a variety that people like, so might as well keep seeds for that as well. When we did the deep corn planting, we put one piece right here. It hasn't come up yet. The deep corn test is a test to see, and this is going to be funny, but I watched a documentary about the Hopi Indian Reservation and how they plant corn 12 to 18 inches deep. Well, he said in the documentary that no other corn in the world will do this. And my brain immediately went into rebellion mode, and I decided to prove him wrong. So we've got corn planted 12 inches deep, several areas in the yard, actually 8 inches deep, 8 to 10 inches deep, but anyway, it's a start. So these are beans. These are our tomatoes. Now look at the difference. All of these were planted on the same day. This one and this one planted the same day, and it is still 40 to 50 degrees at night, and it's got blossoms on it. So there's another one right over there. Each one of the tomato cages, there are 24 plants, 23 plants actually, because we lost one. This one right here, oh, it's actually getting blossoms on it too. This one was a gift, so I've never grown that variety before. These are the rattlesnake beans. They will climb on the chain link this year. And if that works, because last year they strangled the corn, we didn't get any corn, so if that works. This is arugula, and I'm going to chop it down again. This is my asparagus patch. I don't particularly appreciate asparagus except as a periodic break in my diet, but the arugula all chopped down should create pretty good mulch for that by next spring. Okay, this one was a failure. My sister gave me one of her tomatoes that she was not able to plant, and it looks like it's dead. And primarily that is because potting soil, I left it in potting soil, and potting soil dries out much, much faster than regular soil, so it dried out. I watered it this morning to see, but it dried out, and I'm not sure it'll come back. That one's a pepper. Zoom in for you. That one's a pepper. I'm just testing. This is right next to the wall of the greenhouse, so it's a little bit warmer. This is my fallow area. All of this area was covered with a full layer of leaves last fall, and this spring I planted potatoes into it. Just dug down and placed the potatoes right on the surface. So that is part of the potato patch for this year. Again, garlic, cilantro, another apple tree right there in the center, radishes, and these are just self-seeded. And they just come back every year. There's a bit of wheat. It's starting to head up. More lettuce. The corn is up. I did straight rows on this one, but the corn is up and ready to go. It's dug deeper into the garden than everything else, so because this was last year's compost pit. Dad still insists on the compost pit every year, so I'm willing to let him do that, and he always wants to plant the corn right on top of the compost pit. So last year's corn, the corn is his responsibility. So strawberries. most of the strawberries died. I haven't really been paying attention as I tried to drought tolerant the yard and tried to get things in that would help us survive. I haven't been paying much attention to the little fruits like the raspberries and the strawberries. So, sorry, garbage bag. Okay, yarrow. This will eventually be my raspberry patch. It's all those raspberries right there. A leftover potato from last year, because this is where the potatoes were. More cilantro, lemon balm. This one is a root cutting from the plum tree right above us. And my intent, I cannot see a graft line on that tree. Mom always told me that it was a Stanley. I think it is actually a seedling from a Stanley. We've got another root start over here, and eventually that will be the full-size tree, and the rest of this will be coming down. But this tree is probably 40 years old, and I think it's a seedling from a Stanley. The only way to prove that is to grow one of the root starts to full maturity and see what comes up. So I'm working on that. Got more wood chips out here, and potatoes. Potatoes are starting to come up in the wood chips. I planted potatoes all through here. Eventually I will be filling this in with wood chips to the edge of the blocks. The cilantro is actually spread much better than I thought. Next to that purple weed is more cilantro. We've got sunflowers. There's some more wheat. I am going to plant oats through here. These are peas, and they're really not doing well because I didn't plant them early enough. And then our onion patch. More cilantro. Now this, oh, look, there's the gopher. Okay. Alright. So I need to come back out and figure out what to do with that. Okay, so under these milk bottles, this was to protect them from the depredations of various critters. There's another one. I'm going to put that over that one because I can see this one. I can see this one now. But there's another one right here. So I'm going to put the milk jug over that instead. I'm out of milk jugs, which I never thought would happen. but anyway, this area is the going to be the beginnings of my dry bean land race. And there's another bean coming up. I put covers over it because I figured that the quail were probably eating the seedlings, but now I think I was just being impatient. There's another one over here. I don't know if you can see that next to this other bottle. There's another. There are more throughout here. But anyway, that's our going to be the first year of our dry bean land race. And all I'm doing with all of this stuff, the weeds and such, as long as they're not actually growing next to something that I need to keep, I'm just going to chop and drop. I'm just going to bring the clippers out here and chop them all down, and I should probably do that now actually because those are getting pretty tall. Those are currants back there, and the big bushy things in between the currants, that is catnip. And that one is, what is it? Tansy. Tansy. It gets yellow flowers on it during the summer, and it's supposed to be an insect repellent. Right next to the tansy and the plum tree, this is the young plum tree, is more walking onions. One of these days I'll give you a full tour. The green beans are going to be right there in that cleared space. Oh, look, gopher mound. Yay! figure it out and get him out of here. Okay. Okay. So, lavender. More lettuce. More irises. More garlic. And I'm clearing out this area from another garden. So, that's the main garden. That's the eastern garden. And I don't know if you've ever smelled catnip. To me it smells like skunk. But cats like it. And it's good. It's an herbal thing. So I just leave it alone. Look, more catnip. Silly plants coming up weird. Anyway, so that is the main garden. One of these days when I feel like it, I'll give you a tour of the western garden and of the front end, but there's the grapevines. And that is essentially my garden. I'm not expecting that it will freeze again this year, although considering the way the weather's been, it's very possible. And it looks like a disaster, but most of what's in there is stuff that I have planted and deliberately let go to weed. So I will talk with you later.